October 27th, 1962, 10:52 p.m. You're 300 feet underwater in Soviet submarine B-59, 50 miles north of Cuba. You're Second Captain Vasily Arkhipov. For 4 hours, American destroyers have been dropping depth charges on your submarine. The hull is shaking. Men are passing out. Inside, it's 140 degrees. You can't breathe without gasping. Condensation drips from the ceiling. You can't tell if it's water or sweat. Your CO2 scrubbers are failing. Men are hallucinating. You've lost all radio contact with Moscow. For all you know, World War III has already started. Your captain, Valentin Savitsky, is screaming, "We're going to blast them now! We will die, but we will sink them all!" He wants to launch the nuclear torpedo. Soviet protocol requires 3 votes: captain, political officer, and you. Savitsky votes yes. Political officer Maslenikov votes yes. 2-0. If you say yes, you launch a 10-kiloton nuclear torpedo at the USS Randolph. 3,500 Americans die instantly. The United States retaliates. Moscow is hit within hours. 100 million dead in 24 hours. If you say no, you're refusing orders during combat. Court-martial. Execution, possibly. They are both staring at you. Waiting. Subscribe now, because by the end of this video, you'll know why one Soviet submarine officer you've never heard of is the reason you're alive to watch this. The question isn't whether the torpedo would have started World War III. The Pentagon confirmed it would. The question is, why did you say no? You're Vasily Arkhipov, 36 years old, flotilla commander and second captain of submarine B-59. October 27th, 1962. The Cuban Missile Crisis has been escalating for 13 days. 4 Soviet submarines are breaking through the American blockade to reach Cuba. B-4, B-36, B-130 and yours, B-59. Each carries one secret weapon, a nuclear torpedo. 10 kilotons. The Americans don't know. You've been submerged for days in Caribbean waters. The hull was designed for the cold North Atlantic. Here, the external water is 80 degrees. Inside, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Men are collapsing. Some have stopped sweating. Their skin is dry and burning. That's the sign before organ failure. The air is so thick with moisture, it feels like drowning. Carbon dioxide is rising. Some crew members are hallucinating. You haven't had reliable radio contact with Moscow in days. You don't know what's happening on the surface. And now, the Americans have found you. 6 p.m. USS Beale, USS Coney, USS Murray overhead, and the aircraft carrier USS Randolph. Depth charges hit the water. Explosions shake the hull. Lights flicker. Men thrown against bulkheads. 4 hours of this. 4 hours of explosions. Captain Savitsky is breaking. Here's what the Americans know. 4 Soviet submarines near Cuba. Standard procedure: drop practice depth charges to force them up. Here's what they don't know. Each submarine carries a nuclear torpedo. Crews are on the edge from heat and CO2. One captain is about to order a nuclear launch. The Americans are signaling, "Come up." Savitsky hears, "They're trying to kill us." Another explosion. Closer. Savitsky snaps, "Prepare the special weapon!" Everyone freezes. Special weapon means the nuclear torpedo. 1 year earlier, July 4th, 1961. You were executive officer on submarine K-19. The nuclear reactor's cooling system failed. Reactor minutes from meltdown. The captain ordered 8 men into the reactor compartment to build emergency cooling. By hand, while the reactor melted down. You watched Yuri Ordov go in, 23 years old, engineer. He knew the radiation would kill him. He went anyway. They welded pipes with bare hands while standing in radioactive water. The dosimeters maxed out. They worked for 6 hours. Vomiting, collapsing, still working. When they came out, their skin was already grey. Yuri's hands blistered and peeling. He smiled. "We did it, comrade captain." He died 12 days later. You watched his skin fall off in sheets. You watched him cough blood. You watched all 8 of them die slowly. So now, when Savitsky screams to launch the nuclear torpedo, you know something he doesn't. Nuclear weapons don't just kill. They destroy slowly. They spread suffering beyond any target. They create deaths that take weeks. You've seen it. He hasn't. You also know, if you launch that torpedo, your wife Olga in Moscow dies in the retaliatory strike. Your daughter Yelena, 7 years old, dies screaming in nuclear fire. The K-19 crew chose death to prevent nuclear catastrophe. Now you face the same choice.
The control room is silent, except for men breathing hard in the heat. Savitsky and Maslenikov stare at you. 78 men watching, waiting. You look at Savitsky. His hand is shaking, eyes red. 28 days underwater. The heat and CO2 are affecting his judgment. You can see it. If you say yes, 3,500 Americans dead. The US retaliates. Moscow hit within 12 hours. 100 million dead in 24 hours. If you say no, court-martial, disgrace, execution. The choice takes 3 seconds, feels like 3 hours. You look at Savitsky. No. I vote no. We surface and establish contact with Moscow. Savitsky's face goes white, then red, then purple. What? I vote no. He explodes. You coward! We are under attack and you... Another depth charge. The submarine shakes. If they wanted us dead, we'd be dead, you say calmly. These are practice charges, signals, not attacks. They've been dropping explosives for 4 hours. And we're still alive. Real depth charges would have sunk us in 10 minutes. 20 minutes of argument. You don't move. Finally, Savitsky slumps. Fine, we surface. But this is on you, Arkhipov. Yes, you say. It's on me. You order. Surface the boat. Here's what we know from declassified documents. If you had voted yes, Hour 1. Nuclear torpedo hits USS Randolph. 3,500 sailors vaporized. Mushroom cloud visible from Cuba. Hour 3. President Kennedy convenes emergency meeting. General Curtis LeMay. Mr. President, the Soviets used a nuclear weapon against our Navy. This is war. We must respond. Kennedy has no choice. The Joint Chiefs are unanimous. Hour 8. First US nuclear weapons hit Soviet military targets. Hour 12. Soviet ICBMs hit Washington, New York, Los Angeles.
US weapons hit Moscow, Leningrad, Kiev. Hour 24. 100 million dead. Northern Hemisphere covered in radioactive fallout. Year 1. Human population reduced from 3.1 billion to under 1 billion. This isn't speculation. This is SIOP 63, the actual US nuclear war plan from 1962. We have the declassified documents. One vote prevented this. You surface. October 27th, 11:17 p.m. American destroyers waiting. You comply with their orders. Turn around. October 28th, the next day. Radio message from Moscow. Crisis over. Khrushchev and Kennedy reached agreement. Soviet missiles removed from Cuba. There will be no war. If you had launched that torpedo, you would have started World War III the day before the crisis was peacefully resolved. You return to the Soviet Union. You expect commendation. Instead, reprimanded. Captain Savitsky blames you. Your career stalls. No promotions. You're quietly sidelined. You retire in 1985. You never speak publicly about October 27, 1962. For 40 years, the world doesn't know. The Soviet Union classified it. Admitting a captain almost started war without orders would reveal the system failed. The United States didn't know about the nuclear torpedoes until the 1990s. You stayed silent. Soviet military culture demanded it. For 40 years, Kennedy and Khrushchev got credit for preventing nuclear war. Nobody knew about you. 2002, Havana Conference. 40-year anniversary of the crisis. Thomas Blanton interviews Soviet officers. One mentions B-59, mentions the vote. Blanton finds you. You're 76 years old, small apartment in Moscow. Why did you vote no? You're quiet. Then, I was on K-19. I saw what nuclear weapons do. The slow death, the radiation. I could not allow that to happen to millions. Did you know you might be executed? Yes. You voted no anyway? The K-19 crew went into the reactor knowing they would die. They saved us. I did the same, just on a larger scale. Robert McNamara, Kennedy's defense secretary, hears the story. His face goes white. We had no idea they had nuclear weapons. We were this close and didn't even know it. You die in 1998, 4 years before the world learns your name. October 27th, 1962. You're the second captain of Soviet submarine B-59. 2 officers vote to launch a nuclear torpedo. You're the third vote. You say no. 100 million people live because of it. The world never knew your name until 2002. You'd been dead for 4 years. But you saved the world. You were there. And the only reason the rest of us are here is because you said no. Vasily Arkhipov said no and saved 100 million lives. The world never knew. 176 years earlier, a mob said yes and changed history forever. July 14th, 1789, Paris. You're storming the Bastille, the medieval fortress symbolizing royal tyranny. You're here to free the political prisoners, the innocent victims of the king. You fight the guards. The governor surrenders. You flood into the prison. You find 7 prisoners, 4 forgers, 2 mentally ill, 1 aristocrat imprisoned by his own family. No political prisoners, no innocent victims. 7 people who would have been in prison under any government. But the violence has started. The governor who surrendered is dragged into the street, his head sawed off with a pocket knife while he's still alive. The Bastille falls, not because it freed anyone, because a mob needed a symbol to destroy. The storming of the Bastille, the day the French Revolution ignited. But what you found inside changes everything. Next time on You Are There.